What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's DRB, and I'm bringing you my second week match from the Double Battle League. I'm actually re-recording this because the first recording, I guess, didn't work. So I've had the recording saved on my computer for a while, and when I tried to like render it down, it told me no. So we're gonna do this again. I am playing Senor Sableye of the I think his team is the Appalachian Arbox. A solid player, drafted a pseudo rain team. Drafted Kingdra, Ludicolo, Politoed, Breloom for Spore to help him out there. He's got Weavile and Talonflame for fast attackers. He's got Mega Mawile. He also has Swampert, which he didn't bring, but I prepped for. So we had a lot of good threats. I decided to bring Gardevoir, Rotom, Heliolisk, Reuniclus, Tangrowth, and Togetic. And let's start here we go. So he leads Politoed and Ludicolo, and I decided to lead Tangrowth and Gardevoir for a couple reasons. One, Tangrowth was physically defensive with Rocky Helmet and Rage Powder, and I also traced Swift Swim, which was cool. Not that it mattered because I'm Mega Gardevoir. So he goes for Protect. Tangrowth I brought for Weavile, Talonflame, Mawile, Breloom for Spore. I brought it to redirect everything. Now Ludicolo on the first turn went for Teeter Dance, which was crazy, because that's not a move I even think about. I go for Hyper Voice, do 66% because I'm a monster. And here, turn 2, I decided to make a very poor play. I did have Protect on Tangrowth, which I thought about going for, because I thought about Ice Beam, but then I thought, no, he's going to swap out Ludicolo to take a Hyper Voice, probably switch out into Mawile, and I'll be able to get a Giga Drain off onto Politoed. Didn't happen. Went hard for the Ice Beam, so I swap into the Machine Gun Carl Anderson, and I go for dual Hyper Voice, assuming that I would probably break through Confusion. This will pick up 2 kills on 1 turn. Ludicolo goes for Giga Drain, good play. And Machine Gun Carl Anderson gets off a huge Hyper Voice, takes 76% from Breloom, knocks out Ludicolo. Now, when your opponent drafts a rain team, you'll see I break out of Confusion here. When your opponent drafts a rain team in a draft league, it's not as good as it would be on a regular battle, because I know it's coming. So instead of bringing a different set for Heliolisk, I brought Dry Skin. I brought Tangrowth. I brought Rotom and Gardevoir. I brought things that could handle a rain team. So I swap here and go into Rotom Wash. I don't want to take a Fake Out or an Iron Head or a Sucker Punch or anything like that. So I go for Protect on Machine Gun Carl Anderson because I want him to live, and Fake Out into Rotom, and Iron Head into Rotom as well. Super resisted, doesn't do very much damage at all. I know if I keep Rotom alive and I can burn his physical threats, it'll be fine. I thought about switching out into Reuniclus or Togetic there for the Sucker Punch, but I figured if I can just get a free switch and I can burn, it would be better for the long haul in the game. So I think I switch into Togetic right here. This game took place a good many weeks ago. And what I do here is I also brought Safety Goggles Follow Me for Spore. And I know if I can get a Pain Split off and keep Rotom alive, I'll be okay. So I Follow Me the Iron Head, which is probably coming for Togetic anyway, so I can get the Pain Split off and keep Rotom healthy. Because if I can get Weavile back in and burn it, then the game's over. So I do sack Togetic right there. Sorry. I sacked 3 of my Pokemon for the sake of the game. A little heartless of me. And I switch into Reuniclus, knowing that Reuniclus can tank everything from this point out. He does Brave Bird into Rotom, hopefully trying to... I brought Reflect and Light Clay on Rotom this week, but I didn't end up using Reflect. Most of his big threats to my team were physical in Swampert, Weavile, Breloom, Mawile, Talonflame, but I never found myself into a position where I had to do that, where it was my only option. So I do have his big physical threat burned, and he does have Weavile in the back, and now I need to burn Weavile. I know he's going to knock off on Reuniclus here because it's too tempting, but I did bring Colbur Berry for this specific situation so I could get that burn off on Weavile. So it does about 46%. Yep, 45.5. And I get that Will-O-Wisp off on Weavile. I was hoping it wasn't going to be Lumberry. I was hoping it was going to be Expert Belt or something. And then I go for Trick Room. At this point in the game, it wasn't as necessary, but since I was running 0 speed IVs in all my Pokemon, I figured it would give me a little bit of an edge in the end game. I brought Trick Room to deal with Swift Swim, but I managed to end all of his Swift Swim before it became an issue. He does go for Scald, gets a crit, which was a little terrifying because it did put me in range of being taken out. But I figured if he Sucker Punched and I got away with getting a recover off, or he was magically running 0 speed IVs also. I don't know how. I know Mega Mawile is very slow. I don't know if it's slower than Reuniclus. He does go for the Play Rough, which was good for me because it kept me out of some danger. Goes for the Scald, gets a burn, but I'm running Magikarp. I thought about running Overcoat for Breloom, but I thought that was a little too much over preparation. So I just decided to bring the regular Magikarp set for the Scald burns, which I'm sure were going to be a problem. There is Helping Hand right there into the Sucker Punch. I assume Senor Sableye predicted that I was going to Thunderbolt again, but I went for the Recover and then the Thunderbolt. So it was the Sucker Punch into Reuniclus. I'm not at this point in the game. All I have to do is wait, because both of his big physical attackers are burned. Reuniclus is physically defensive, and Rotom is physically defensive. So I just have to wait for burn to do its thing. At this point, I'm just stalling out with recovers. And I Pain Splits and Reflect, and I brought a very stally set with some very good special offense in the back because I wanted to break through his team. But I know right here his big threats to me are Sucker Punch and Knockoff. And if I don't put myself in a position to be susceptible to Sucker Punch, then Weavile can't beat me. So Mawile's now down. And it is it's 1-on-3, Weavile against the world. So Weavile under Trick Room can't beat Gardevoir, and all I have to do is wait. I go for Thunderbolt, pick off Weavile, and that was week 2 for me. So it was a good game. I'm not a big fan of drafting rain teams. I'm not a big fan of drafting weather, period. I did draft Ninetales for this league, and I do have a bit of a pseudo Sun team, but it wasn't the main core of my team, because if you draft something like weather and you obviously see your opponent's team before you draft, it's easy if your team is a rain team or a sand team or a sun team, and that's really all it does. I can prep around your team for that. And this week Reuniclus and Rotom, I should say, were the heavy hitters that managed to carry me through the rest of the game. So it was a good game. Another win for me. That's 2-0. So we got 3 regular season games left, and we're going to see how the rest of those go. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.